What's up, y'all? It's your boy George Carmen from Full Press Commanders. There's a lot of news in the Commander world right now, baby. We're going to talk about it in a minute. Let's get it on. What's up, y'all? It's a pleasure for you guys to spend your evening with me. I'm here today, joined with Dion from Red Zone in the Lab. Dion, what you up, bro? How you doing?
What's good, man? What's good? How y'all doing today?
Doing good, man. I'm also joined by Natty from DMV Sports Zone. How you doing today, bro?
Doing well, doing well. Thank you for having me on.
Of course, man. And last but not least, Martin from Livewire Sports. How you doing, Martin?
I'm good. I'm good. Thanks for being here.
Of course, man. Martin's coming live from South Carolina, man. So you gotta appreciate that commitment right there. I love that. It's good stuff right there.
Yeah, man.
All right, so
Appreciate
y'all,
that.
man, yeah, no doubt, man. So y'all, it's been crazy, right? So I go to work, got my mentality on the preseason game. Everything's gonna be all right. I come home, right, and we're gonna start off with our first conversation, right? Antonio Gibson, man. So what's going on? So I'm gonna start off with Dion, man. So is there a RB controversy going on in DC? What are your thoughts on Antonio Gibson? Is he being treated right? How you feeling about all this? Go ahead, Dion.
I don't really think it's a quote unquote controversy, right? I mean, we have this running back that we drafted high last year. He's a bruiser type running back. He was something that we extremely missed last season, and now we understand Gibby's issues is fumbling. So here comes the first preseason game, and like a lot of us talked about, he had a couple of fumbles in last week's in training camp. So he becomes second carry of the game. It's a fumble. The same issues. Him going down to the ground, not fully grasping onto the ball, and it's getting punched out. And that's an issue. That's an issue. I think Scott Turner came down on him hard. He said, "Hey, that's a loss of possession. That's us being on the field. That takes that away." And when it happens, it always seems to happen when we don't need it to happen the most, even though we never need fumbles to loss. But as far as the controversy part, I know we're gonna get into more about with Antonio Gibson, but no, I don't think it's a controversy at all.
All right, interesting. It's definitely with Antonio Gibson. I don't know. It's kind of raising eyebrows, right? So I know earlier last week, basically at some red zone drills, the defense has been getting the best of the offense throughout most of camp. Antonio Gibson fumbled the ball in 2 red zone possessions there. There's a fumble at the Carolina game, on the 19-yard line, and immediately the Panthers score and add some points to the game. So, I went to the Chargers game week 1 last year. We lost because of Antonio Gibson fumble. I like Antonio Gibson. I'm not trying to bury him, but trying to talk it out right here and kind of see what we got. So, Nadia, how about you, man? Like, what are your thoughts? Do you like Antonio Gibson? How you feeling about him? Or what are your thoughts on this whole issue going on?
I like Antonio Gibson, but I love Brian Robinson. I've been on the RB1 train for Brian Robinson pretty much since he's been drafted. I thought they would just ease him in, but I feel like Antonio Gibson's fumble last week sort of made sure that the process sped up a little bit. And now Brian Robinson, in my opinion, is going to get a lot more reps than maybe we all thought to start the season. I will say this with Brian Robinson, everybody thinks of him as just like this thumper, this between the tackles guy, which makes sense. He did have 1,000+ yards last year at Alabama, double the touchdowns on the ground, but he's also pretty good as a pass catcher. He's pretty much like an all-around back when you think about it. And I think the biggest difference for me between Gibson and Brian Robinson is vision. In my opinion, Brian Robinson always finds the right hole to run through in the run game. Pass protection as well. Brian Robinson is solid in that area. So I'm excited about Brian Robinson. Right now, though, I do think that Antonio Gibson, he's still going to be an important player on this team. Don't get me wrong. But I think that the controversy is definitely a controversy. But my last point that I want to mention is I just had an interview with Logan Paulson on the DMV Sports Zone channel.
Cool.
And he talked about he quieted sort of like the concerns around Gibson being running with the 2s and 3s in practice and stuff. And he basically talked about how that happens to a lot of players. Even Terry was running with the 2s at receiver today as well. But the biggest concern is with Gibson having to run on kick return and punt return duties. Yeah, exactly. So just keep that in mind when thinking about Gibson's role on this team.
Yeah, and it's actually kind of funny. So I've had two conflicting conversations over the past week, right? So I had Zach Zelby on the show from Commanders.com last week. We talked about it, and I asked him, like, is Antonio Gibson in trouble? He said, absolutely not. They absolutely love him in DC. He's not going anywhere. There's no problem, right? That's step one. Step two, I go to Big Doug's show and Anthony Armstrong's on. Anthony Armstrong is an awesome guest. You guys should definitely try to get him on your show. When he was talking, he said in the NFL, like they let it know, like they let it be known what they want from you, right? And basically benching him, putting him in that third, like for lack of a better word, they're bitching him right now in training camp to kind of put him in the right spot, and hopefully he rises to the occasion. I don't want Antonio Gibson to be in this negative mindset. I want him to bounce back, but it's going to be interesting to see where it goes. Martin, what do you think about this whole dynamic? And do you think Brian Robinson will have more carries than Antonio Gibson by the end of the year? What do you think about that?
My thing is, I think I like, but his fumbles is really a concern because last year going into this year, and in the NFL, it's all about opportunity, and Brian Robinson is maximized getting right now. Mm-hmm. And if he goes into the next preseason game, and we pretty much going to look at it and say one. Now how Antonio gets him bounced back in next game is going to be remain to be seen. Mm-hmm. I said something last, and I was Jerry's Corner and Tim. They had and I chatted in, and I said, "Don't be surprised if Antonio get it." And they say, "Oh, he's going to be there." I like him. He has a great skill set that we need, but if he even through training camp and preseason, I don't see how Ron Rivera deal with that going into the regular season, because he made it known job is up for grabs. Mm-hmm. So with Williams playing the way he played, Jared Patterson, there's opportunity for them guys to. But I don't know if y'all remember, T had a lot of fumbling issues, and he changed the way he carried the ball.
The Tiki Barber? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Tiki Barber. I was thinking that maybe Antonio Gibson should, look back at advice from Tiki, or look at some of his films that could help him carry the ball. Because, yeah, this is third year, but when you losing the ball in a game, it really raises eyebrows, and we don't know what Ron Rivera pays now.
It's true. And you know what's funny is, I don't know if you guys caught it, but throughout the offseason, Antonio Gibson focused on dropping weight, eating healthy. I think he went vegan for a little while, but he did train. He actually he trained with a weighted ball. I don't know if you guys actually heard that, but trained with a weighted ball to kind of focus on not fumbling. And we're still seeing that issues. And go ahead, Tanner, we're going to say.
No, I was going to say, I forgot who tweeted this out today, but someone mentioned how that sort of training, like training with a weighted ball, actually might
deficit or negative.
Yeah, it might be a negative for Antonio Gibson, just because the actual ball that he now carries is lighter. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Interesting. That makes sense. And like, it's funny. I mean, granted, the ball had punched out. It wasn't a natural fumble. So, we can maybe not kill him for that, but there's definitely something to consider. Dion, one last thing on this. Like, I asked Martin, but I want to ask you too, Dion. Do you think Brian Robinson is going to have more carries than Antonio Gibson by the end of the year?
Let's go back to training camp, right?
Okay.
All training camp, Ron has been interchangeable with his starters, especially the running backs. Mm-hmm. First team, second team, third team. Like, all of that is the same. That's just how Ron and company operates, because especially without injuries last year, he wants all of them to be acclimated with the quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. What was interesting was the punt team. Now, that was different. Like, the whole being on punt team, that was different, and that's something to kind of look at. And, and with Tiki Barber, which, we always say that. And I kind of thought, I said, let me go back and look. Mm-hmm. And I kind of went back and looked, but Tiki Barber had the issues with fumbling throughout his whole career, except for the last 2 years. Each year he had like double-digit fumbles. So I kind of wonder, when did the high and tight? Because that's what we remember about.
Always, you always hear that
It's high
on
and
commentators
tight.
talking about it every single time. Exactly.
So that's something I really couldn't find, is when that actually occurred with the high and tight and him, changing. And I don't, for right now, I don't think it changes, George. I think whatever you had the number at as far as carries is concerned for both of those guys, I think from 20 to 20, it'd be more Gibson. I think, and red zone, I think it'll be more Robinson, and short yardage, I think it'll be more Robinson. But man, he comes out fumbling on the second snap again. We having a different conversation.
RB,
you know what I mean? Because
like,
like you mentioned, him going out to the ground, that's mental, right?
Yeah.
That's all. That's a mental thing.
Cover it up, man.
And that's what happens. Yeah. Like it's mental. And when the defense begins to start game planning on your flaws, that's a serious issue. Like,
I do want to say that. So Big Doug show, he had a really good show with Anthony Armstrong. He basically said they got a target on 24. The conversation in the defensive locker room right now is punch the ball on 24, the ball can pop loose. That conversation is happening because it's their job, guys. It's a professional outreach. They're going to knock it out. So it's definitely something to consider. So cool. Any last minute touching on that before we move on?
I still believe in Antonio Gibson.
I believe in Antonio Gibson. I don't want to give up on him either.
Him too, but I'm telling you, man.
At some point, right? Yeah, it's true.
You got to turn around. I think Natty nailed it, though. I think the vision. I think Brendan Thorne, he's a great, analyst on, NFL. I forget what platform he uses, but Brendan Thorne is an awesome analyst. And he basically showed a great run where basically, like, Antonio Gibson left like 30, 40 yards on the field because he kept on stretching it out as opposed to being patient. So that is something he has to work on.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I get, obviously, the biggest reason why we're in the situation right now with Antonio Gibson is his fumbling issues, right? He had a lot of fumbles last year. I think it was like 6 last year. He had a fumble second preseason snap for him. I get that. But for me, an underrated issue here, again, is Antonio Gibson's vision. Like, I've been talking about this for several years now. Everybody, let's talk about how the Giants game, the last game of the season.
Yeah, that's a wash game, week 17.
I'm like,
I'm with you, bro. I'm with you there as well. So, like, the only thing I would want to give Antonio Gibson the benefit of the doubt, let me actually pull it up right now. Antonio Gibson, I believe, has 21 total touchdowns. Let me just double check real quick. 18 and then 3. He has 21 total touchdowns in 2 years, and he basically has 1,800 yards. So he actually has production, but at the same time, you can't be giving the ball because we've seen this nip and tuck kind of league at the NFL. You can lose a game in a heartbeat. So there we go.
And another thing, George, I don't know how you all feel about this, but the lack of home runs, I think, we haven't seen it
since the Bills game, right? It's been a long time.
Right,
so week 3, that one
just
screen where he took out the field. Exactly.
Right. Just like how you all saying him missing those, and those are big holes, and those are, possible for big plays. I think if he had more home runs, this wouldn't be as much of an issue as it is.
Cool.
I'm going to toss.
Go ahead. Go
ahead. Oh, and just to touch on what Natty, the vision, because Ron Rivera came out the next day and said that he's feet instead of just hitting the hole and go. So that causing him to get in trouble with his fumbles also. So
that's true.
If he just he don't have to worry about team players trying to like game tackle him or
you lose the opportunity to get the ball knocked out by stutter stepping and not being decisive. I agree with you there. All right, this is a lot lighter news. I'm just going to lob it to the group. If there's no energy there, we'll move on, right? 2 fan favorites were basically released and put on IR today for the Washington Commanders. Troy Apke, that boy can run. Okay, very, got that propped up by Deion Sanders. Special team star. He was released. Sammy Reyes is put on IR, likely going to be developing throughout the year. Does anybody have any thoughts on that? Now, I'll throw it to you first. Start off with you. Now, what do you got?
All right. So this is my PSA.
Go ahead, bro.
For the Sammy Reyes situation. Fans, stop caring about workout videos and start caring about what these players actually put out there on the field.
Let's go.
I don't care how much weight these players lose. I don't care how they look like with their shirts off. I don't
I'm about to
care.
say, I
could
think
care
I
less.
think the female sex appeal definitely boosted up Sammy Reyes' swag. I think
Bro.
for sure, right? But go ahead.
It's
That's
just
another point. But keep going.
I feel like every single offseason that I've been on YouTube, I've had to go through this. But like Samus Reyes, I've never been high on him. Sure, he had all the athletic attributes and all that, but like at the end of the day, I mean, he had what, like 1 catch or 2 catches like last preseason?
He's a good blocker. That's all I
like-
really know about. Yeah, exactly.
And then
maybe.
with Troy
Yeah,
Apke, and with Troy Apke, it's funny because he's, I think, was one of our longest tenured Washington players, right? Like he
I
played
think so.
for
He's
the
been around
Redskins,
for a minute from
Washington
the Gruden era, coming transitioning into Rivera. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but it's been about time though for Trapke to be gone,
Trapke.
so it doesn't surprise me.
I think Trapke's swag and his his name kind of precedes himself. I don't think he kind of carries that onto the field.
I appreciate what he brought to special teams, but yeah,
he did.
Yeah,
I got you. Deion Martin, anything important on that?
He was a good special teams player.
Good special teams player. Deion, anything on that?
I mean, anytime you go through COVID and injuries and they still bring in other people off the streets to play in front of you, that's a serious issue, right?
That's a great point.
And like I tweeted earlier, like your 40 time don't mean nothing without game speed. So that's 100%, all I got to say about that.
And intelligence, football intelligence as well.
Yeah.
All right, let's pivot it real quick. So I'm more of an X and O's kind of guy. I do like that social drama. I do like talking about the depths and stuff like that. But honestly, I'm all about football, man. That's what this podcast is about. So preseason game, man. We had a game on Saturday. I'm gonna leave my opinion out. I'll jump in after you guys get after it. Martin, what was your first impressions of the preseason game? How do you feel about that? Were you positive or were you negative about it? How do you feel?
I was positive. I wanted to see what Carson Wentz was able to do.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of snaps, but he did some great things a little bit. I do want to see him to get at least a full quarter in, just to burn, and his his connections with Diami and Terry and
Jahan Dotson,
Samuels. So I want to see a lot more of that.
Okay.
Besides with Antonio and stuff like that, I was surprised that a lot of playing time, at tight end, and Wentz was throwing to him a whole. So I mean, maybe that's one reason why we ain't seeing Sammy Reyes right now. Carlos Hodges and Amari Rogers.
Mm-hmm.
For the defense part, we need to address that linebacker position. I feel if we go into the season, there was some highs and some lows on the defense. With everything, I was very impressed with Sam Howell when he came in. The things that I have an opinion on it, but I'll wait until after this preseason game on it. What I might think what the season may look like, or what from that point on. But I was encouraged. I think this team could blossom. I think this team might start off slow in the beginning and probably catch fire towards the middle of the end, because they will be able to gel and bring.
That makes sense. I got you on that. Deion, what do you got, bro? How'd you feel about that game?
It was good to see Samuels catch a pass,
good way
do
to look
like
at
a quote unquote non-football move and kind of get back up. That was very encouraging. Carson Wentz willing to hit the dump off was very encouraging. I think the deep pass to McLaurin, I don't think that's going to be an issue. It was underthrown, but
it was underthrown. I did see that.
Yeah, again, I caution people that they barely get to 75% in practice. So being as though this was full game speed, I think I don't think that's going to happen too often. I think he's going to be it because he was wild. Again, we tired of saying McLaurin have to jump over people to come back for the ball.
Yeah.
But
he almost made that catch though.
He still almost made it, right? Yep. He's used to it. the defense, especially the linebackers, the depth is very, very concerning.
And cornerbacks, man.
Very,
I don't want to hate on like. Well, let me show you something real quick. Sorry to interrupt you, Dion. So I'll put
It's
this
all
up.
good.
I put this up the other day. I don't know if you guys can see it, but basically it was a poll that I ran the other day, right? So I got 1,100 responses. Most people are encouraged. We had a couple people trolling and say perfect performance is what they said. We had a couple that had disappointed. I was a little bit concerned. I thought that our third down defense wasn't really impressive at all. And just talking about the depth, and that's why I interrupted you. I'm sorry, Dion, is Danny Johnson. I felt like, I love that guy and I root for him.
Yeah.
I really I thought he would be a good CB4, but he was
getting
getting
burnt.
cooked. He was getting cooked, right?
yeah.
I'm gonna say he's getting cooked the other day. So I was
Yeah.
like, oh man. So, and then Benjamin St-Juste, health isn't the best. So I'm definitely kind of worried by that. Like, I was surprised that there was such a positive response for encouraged, or maybe I don't know if I'm the cranky old man and being just kind of critical about it, or people is really, people are just kind of happy and optimistic. I have no idea, but like, Dion, finish your thoughts. Sorry, I interrupted you, bro. Go ahead.
No, it's all good, and I we share the same sentiment with especially the linebackers. Oh boy, Mayo, he cannot be out there, especially with 4 wide receivers. Why is he even on the field? I don't care if it's preseason. Put a cornerback at linebacker, somebody, because anytime you got 4 wide receivers, your first step shouldn't be a run step. It should be a back step on that seam throw that he missed.
100%.
And Danny Johnson was right. He was getting beat. He was really getting cooked. So I'm really interested to seeing St-Juste on the field, but those are my main concerns right now. Positive is the O-line. First, second, third string, fourth string even. They all play really well. And everyone wasn't even there. So I think that's going to be, again, like last year, that's going to be one of our strongest position groups.
Matzka's one of our best coaches. I think we can all kind of establish that and say that he's legit, man. So he basically can hold it down. Our offensive line was pretty deep. And one thing I got to give Carson Wentz for, and something I'm going to watch moving forward, he's great at like standing in the pocket when there's trash at his feet. If you ever see players falling down, getting knocked out in their butts, he just sitting there. He stands in the pocket and he's big enough and tall enough to kind of get it going. So I like that so far. I hope it continues because I know, like, honestly, going back to the Kirk Cousins days, he would get nervous, kind of like jump throw and he'd throw interceptions off of that. So I think Carson Wentz, that was a positive that I saw. Natty, what do you got, bro?
Yeah, I think it says something that I've had my doubts about Carson Wentz. Kind of still do have my doubts about Carson Wentz, but I think the quarterback performances from him and Howell were really good on Saturday. I mean, Carson Wentz threw 10 for 13, 74 yards, 89.9 passer rating. Howell, I think, went over 100 passing yards and had
like
140.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, something good.
Yeah. So I think the quarterback performances were definitely a highlight, and we haven't been able to say that too often in the past. So
it's not the Washington way. At all.
For sure. So hopefully they just build on that in the preseason and obviously when the games start counting. But we mentioned the running backs earlier, but B-Rob, I'm sorry, man. Like I think he was like the positive from the game. Like just the way that he ran, the way that he caught passes out of the backfield, like the way that he just stepped up when Antonio Gibson was force out the game because of the fumble and stuff. I was just really impressed by Brian Robinson. And the last point, it's not really football related, but Doc Walker. Can we show Doc Walker some love? Like, I mean, I get that this is just about commentary and stuff, but like, I'm one of those people who likes analysts like breaking down games, but also like critiquing like the players on the field and not just talking about their positives
and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like we've gotten that with Theismann and people in the past.
Oh, so. Joe Theismann's like Mr. Burgundy glasses, 100%. And I don't know if y'all have got to Doc Walker yet. Doc Walker's the only interview that I've had that I was like on my feet. Like I interviewed him one time. He's a wild bull, dude. I was like, hey man, like tell me about Ron Rivera. He's like, man, fuck Ron Rivera. Just going on the customs going. I'm like, damn, okay. He was like coming at me. Like, all right, cool. So
he's who he is.
Yeah. That's why I wasn't surprised with the whole. I was like, all right, that's who he is. So it's right there. It's funny. So. All right, cool. So obviously Brian Robinson was a good positive from the game. Sam Howell was a positive from the game. The defense, man, I think it came off a little bit suspect. So I don't know if you guys agree to that. It's a concern to me. Last year they were 31st in the NFL on third down conversion, giving a 48% of pretty much every other third down they would give it up to the offense. So I saw that. I'm concerned. Martin, are you concerned about that, or is this just a preseason game and basically George is overreacting?
I'm definitely concerned. I saw and say, okay, this cannot be. And I'm sitting here like, why are you playing a soft zone when you had the game and you had Matt Corral and you getting penalty, you giving up chunk yardage for a game-winning field goal when we had the game. Offense went down there, got the touchdown, got a 2-point conversion. All we had in my head, I'm like, okay, we just fired Sam Mills.
Right?
Like,
yeah.
come on, Jack Del Rio.
Jack Del Rio.
Get it together. I don't care if it's preseason. Win the game. Let's show some initiative. Make for something. You have fans leaving and like, okay, here we go again. We don't need that. We need to win. Be excited for the next preseason game going into the regular season. So the defense was very alarming to me. They was set up a touchdown, but they didn't even play no press coverage to slow the to get the touchdown pass. So those things right there is we alluded to earlier that the first game of the season against San Diego last year, we everywhere we made
like 3rd and 15. They give a huge pass.
We made Justin Herbert look like the MVP. It's bad. So if they, I'm looking to see what they do against this week. So if they get torched this week, we're gonna have to have a whole new discussion about this defense or what direction is.
I got you. Now, I'm a big advocate of you have to learn to win, and winning is a habit, right? So even if it is a preseason game, you got to get that W, right? Because right now you're a loser, right? I know it's practice. It's like basically, it's a preseason game, but at the same time, it's like we lost, and it kind of gets in your mindset a little bit. Like look at the Ravens. I don't want to say we want to go as ham as the Ravens winning 21 preseason games, but at the same time, it's like they have that winning effort, they have that winning mentality, and that's going to carry on. I think. And there's competition. You got to roll with that. Dion, do you think there's any substance with the fact that they're playing vanilla defense and it was still the preseason and that's why they're moving down the field? Because for me, it's like Baker Mayfield, PJ Walker, Matt Corral's cooking us. I'm not too happy about that. But do you feel like because they're playing vanilla, there's a reason to be optimistic? Maybe I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, this is preseason. Of course, like you say, winning is a habit. You want to win. You don't want Steve Spurrier type winning, right? Mm-hmm. But you do want to win. And vanilla defense, we shouldn't even be running that during the preseason. Like we should be man 5 zone off. We should be saying what these guys can do. It's preseason. This is where you kind of you want to try out different schemes. You want to see what these players can actually do, when the pressure is on. So I don't care if we was up and it was a minute left, they had to drive 80 yards. Play your regular defense. Don't do prevent. Don't do vanilla. It was a couple times in the 3rd and 5, a cornerback 7 yards off the ball. Why is that? This is preseason. Get up.
We've been doing that for years, too. I don't know what's we've been doing that for a long time. I don't know who coaches what or what's going on. We've been doing it for a minute. So that's Josh Norman right there. It's crazy. Yeah. So
I don't. It's probably his fault. And you have this guy, WJ3 that loves to play press coverage. Let him. This is preseason. See what these guys can do. See what these guys can do. And as far as the deep, I think Daniel Wise played a good game. I was very confident in that because I was a little concerned about the
Phil
depth.
Mathis played pretty good too.
That's my next point for Darian Mathis played pretty well too. But yeah, vanilla defense just get even against Mahomes this week. So what is Mahomes? See what these guys can do.
I got you. All right, so I'm going to lob a question to Nadi, and I think he's the perfect person to answer this question because I think it's going to go a different direction than everyone else, all right? Carson Wentz has got a lot of criticism around the league, right? We saw Marcus Spears saying he's the #1 biggest issue on the league, NFL Network, biggest concern. Scott Abram freaking went ham on him in regard to that interview. We're going to talk about that, and we're going to go that direction in a second. Do you think it's justified now? Do you think this is where Wentz is at, and do you think the heat to the fire, this is supposed to be where it is, or how do you think? What's your perspective?
Yeah, not all the hate is justified. I think like placing him, I think the ranking was like 26 or 28 among all quarterbacks in the NFL is absolutely absurd.
He's like a 70 in Madden, if that matters. You know, I think it's awful. But go ahead, that's a whole other topic.
I think that's also bad. I think he's about. You guys can give me some feedback if this is wrong, but I think he's about a 15, like 19, 20 type of
That's where I'm
quarterback,
at.
like ranking wise in the NFL.
20.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So
21.
Yeah. But on the hate part though, like everybody just looks at the stats, right? 3,500 yards, 27 touchdowns, 7 picks. But I could do the same thing with the Kirk Cousins. I could do the same thing with a lot of quarterbacks. My issue with Carson Wentz and the issue of a lot of people is that last year for the Indianapolis Colts, right? They did not ask him to do too much, right?
Mhm.
There's a reason why I feel like his touchdown interception ratio is the way it is. And the yardage
Best
also
running
was,
back in the league.
yeah. They had arguably the best offensive weapon, period, in the backfield, right?
100%.
They had a 1,000-yard receiver who obviously Wentz did throw him the ball, but I think he'll only improve in his third year with Matt Ryan, right?
Mhm.
For as much as Commanders fans like to say the offensive line was terrible at pass blocking, they were also the third best rush blocking unit in the league.
Mhm.
The defense, top 10, top 12 scoring defense as well. So Carson Wentz had a lot of things going for him. There were some things that didn't go for him. There were injuries along that offensive line. Pass blocking, like I mentioned, wasn't that great, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, the Colts did not ask him to do too much. They even had Frank Reich as head coach who vouched for Carson Wentz to come over to Indianapolis, right?
Yeah.
And he did show some things last year. The middle part of the season was when he was at his best, right?
Yeah. They had a 9-game winning streak, I think. But go ahead. Continue.
When they actually asked him to carry the team on his back those last 2 games of the season, everybody loves to talk about, oh, Jonathan Taylor didn't have a good last 2 games of the season. The defense wasn't that great. Okay, but there are moments throughout the season when the defense carried the Colts to wins, when Jonathan Taylor obviously carried the Colts to wins, and Carson Wentz was there the last 2 games. They asked him to do a lot more than he did previously, and he didn't.
Yeah,
he wet the bed. Like I can't like just excuse what he did the last 2 games. That's a big reason why he's no longer in Indianapolis.
I'm with you, bro. I think we're gonna get a Kirk Cousins experience here in DC. I think it's gonna be a very polarizing player. I actually I'm happy with the athleticism that Carson Wentz brings to our team. I think there are gonna be some games where he's gonna put up 200-300 yards passing. There's gonna be some times where he's gonna throw a crucial interception at the end of the game. And I think it's gonna all year long. We're gonna be hearing about there's going to be the Heineke hype. There's a Howell hype. There's going to be different sectors basically all trying to fight for this quarterback. And I think best case scenario, Wentz starts 17 games because that means he's playing pretty well. So I kind of want him to go that direction, but I am interested in that. Dion, do you think, tell me what your thoughts on Wentz. Are you thinking that all the criticism, all the hate, do you think that like the heat that's coming at him, is that fair? Is that justified? Or what do you think?
I mean, it's a lot to it. I mean, we've been talking about Wentz for almost 4 months now. I've defended him. I've opposed him. I've been on both sides depending on how the conversation go. But I kind of think about the Raiders game, right?
Okay.
The Jacksonville game is just disastrous on both sides. When we think about the Raiders game, they was up like 20-13, I believe, and he got them down in the red zone and like under the 30, like 4 straight times. They only able to come away with a field goal, and I think they had 2 missed field goals, right? So that says a lot about that Raiders game. Like he did get them down the field on those drives, right? Even though the defense was kind of bad.
Yeah.
But when it comes to Wentz, and you say like he's at 2021, I'm good with that. I'm good with 2021. I'm good with that range because we don't want to have to ask him to do a lot. We want to kind of treat it just how the coach kind of treated because he's very sporadic, right? You may have 3-4 games just like last year, right? From week 3 to 16, 3 to 14, he was one of the best quarterbacks in the league during that stretch. I think they went like 9-1.
They were 9-0 or something like that. They went on a run, for sure.
Yeah. So that's what you can kind of expect, and then you're gonna have some Jacksonville type games. But I think we just need to temper our expectations to say that, hey, this is a mid-tier quarterback. He is an upgrade over what we had. Even we talk about the possible interceptions, right? The drop ones. Heineke was leading the league last year in those, right? So he is an upgrade. And if we can keep it there, he's an upgrade to what we had. He's a middle of the tail quarterback. I think we all can find a level of agreement there. But once we start going below that and above that, this is where the disagreement started to come.
I feel you. And I think that, to Washington's credit, maybe I'll have a homerism here. I think they finally built the team right. I think like getting Brian Robinson as another weapon as a running back, right? Because we play fantasy, we watch football, we know the stats, right? There's some games where we're going to play the 30th ranked rush defense and the 31st ranked rush defense, and we're going to pound the ball with the running back going down their throats, right? We got Jahan Dotson. I wanted a wide receiver in the first round. People were like linebackers and all this other stuff. But dude, we need to get a freaking wide receiver because we can't trust Curtis Samuel. That's the way that was my perspective going into it. So having another weapon there is going to be interesting. So I think Washington built the team right and didn't put a lot of pressure on Carson Wentz. And hopefully he can be more of a point guard. Not necessarily depend on him, but more just give the ball away to people that can do it and have them kind of convert and kind of move on. Right. So that's kind of where I'm at. Next question, right? I'm gonna throw it to you, Mark. Go ahead, Nani. What are you gonna say?
No, I was just gonna say like one last point about the Jacksonville game. Like I understand, the Indianapolis Colts, Jacksonville Jaguars had the Indianapolis Colts number for several years, right? I understand that, and like that's an argument that people make for Carson Wentz not really showing up that game. But my thing is like they brought Carson Wentz to elevate that team. Right. 2020, a lot of people forget this. The Colts were 11-5 in 2020 with a 39-year-old about to retire, Phillip Rivers at quarterback. We talk about noodle arm Taylor Heineke. Phillip Rivers had a noodle arm at that point.
Facts,
career,
dude.
Right?
Okay, I give you that. Okay, cool.
So it's like, and they were rookie year, Jonathan Taylor, rookie year, Michael Pittman Jr., pretty much the same team. Like, I don't know. It's just there's just a lot of
Dude, yeah, you're entitled to your opinion, man. Let it go. I agree with that. That's perfect, man. There you go.
Hey, I'll have you spot on with that. I mean, hey, because that is pretty much facts. Because if you got Phillip Rivers and Carson Wentz supposed to be an elevation, and they didn't even make the playoffs, you what do you do with him? You know what I'm saying? So, from my perspective, I look at this year as an experiment with him, see how far he could take us. I guess I just go ahead and say what is week. I think he will be one and done in Washington this year. Regardless, now if he shows out,
personally, we'll see. Yeah,
if he shows out, which I'm rooting for him to do good. I'm not rooting against him because it's warrant, and I think he's in his head too much, trying to capture what he had when he was in Philly, when he was on that MVP run. You guys gone. You need to revamp yourself to be a different type of. You could help a team win. So if he plays, you don't have to pick him up next year. You know what I'm saying? So that's why it makes perfect in the fold just to wait to see, because if things get Ron Rivera could say, hey, you know what? We tried it. Now let our rookie go ahead. And I think and to your point, George, our team is set up. So a young quarterback like Sam Howell could come in and just.
It is a pretty insulated team. Running back, wide receivers. In theory, our defense is pretty good, even though they kind of let me down sometimes. So I don't know about all that. So we'll see. All right, we're kind of hitting that final stretch. We got we're more than halfway done with our show. I want to talk about some off the field stuff really quickly. Then I want to go back to the Kansas City game. So our president, man, was going off, man. I don't know how y'all feel about this. So basically, Scott Abram had an interview with Carson Wentz. We can let you. I want to let you guys talk on. You guys can say however you want about it. There were, the perception was that Scott Abram had some questions. They were fair questions, but maybe not necessarily tactful. Might have offended Carson Wentz, and then Jason Wright came to the defense of Carson Wentz and basically spoke up for him. I guess Dion, will start off with you. do you think I was legit? Do you think he should have done that? Do you think that's not his role, or do you like that? What was your thoughts on Jason Wright doing all that?
Let's think about who Jason Wright is, right? He's the
Okay.
president of the Washington Commanders football
Business
team,
side.
right?
Okay, go ahead.
On the business side, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's pretty much the focal point, right? He's pretty much the focal point of that organization, and as far as like the business acumen and all the things that's going on in the public, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he's also a football player, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's a football player at heart, right? And sometimes what you are at heart, it can kind of trump what you are in your day-to-day. And I think that's kind of what happened when it came to Jason Wright, right? And how Scott Abram kind of went at it. I mean, he went extremely hard. I know it's been kind of like backlashes about Jason protecting him, but just like he responded to his own tweet about, hey, this person done it. This person said the same thing you said it, but they said it in a more respectful manner. And I think that's where he was coming from. I think it's good that he went to bat for his players, but at the same time, he is the president of the team, so he just has to be cautious of that. And I think he knows that. I think he knows he has to be cautious of that. I think he knows, coming from this organization, you don't need to be saying anything about how anybody acted, how anybody is doing their respective jobs. So, but
Yeah.
I think he knows that. I think he understands that. But I think he just got to that point where the player actually spoke out in defense of his quarterback. And I think that goes to a lot about, us and them having faith in Carson Wentz. But yeah, I mean, it just depends how you kind of look at it. He is the president, and he has to, kind of act accordingly, but he is a player. So as far as me being
It's
a
an interesting
fan,
dynamic. Yeah.
as far as me being a fan, I'm all for it. You know what I mean? But at the same time,
It was entertainment for sure.
yeah, it was entertainment.
So one thing I want to say though, real quick, to kind of give context for our listeners and our viewers, like Washington has an exclusive right with NBC4. I don't know if you guys can kind of peep that. They have an exclusive right to NBC4 that kind of spins off in NBC Sports Washington with JP and all that. That's why JP gets those hits every once in a while. So Scott Abram works for ABC7. So that exclusive interview was that special privilege that Jason Wright was talking about. Like people were like, special access. What is he trying to say? Is he trying to flex on people? Stuff like that. So like, what Jason Wright was saying was kind of a little bit above our pay grades, unless you kind of like read the tea leaves. He's like, dude, we hooked you up with a one-on-one interview and you're treating our quarterback like that. That's not right. Like, you're not going to get that kind of stuff again. He was saying that. And I think that kind of, people got lost in the mix. I do like what you said, Deanna, about the fact that he is a former player. So that was important to me. Like, he was a former player. He felt that the questions were disrespectful, so he spoke up because like he felt disrespected there. But then again, is it his role? Is it his right? We'll see how it goes. But what I find interesting is now he's gonna start getting like, DC is a funny media market, man. The blood's in the water now. So like people that used to like Jason Wright, there's a chink in the armor now. So you're starting to see a little bit more negative articles coming out. And Jason Wright did this, like he looked at me this type of way in the hall. You're starting hearing all these little whispers coming out. So it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah,
Maddie, go ahead. Jump on it. Go ahead.
Yeah, no. I mean, on this issue, there's so many angles like to get to, because I gotta love. Obviously, a lot of people have a lot of love for Jason Wright. First Black team president. He's our team president. He went to my alma mater for business school. Like I got a lot of love for Jason Wright. I also understand that Scott Abraham probably could have worded the question better. Jason Wright was fully in his right for sticking up for his players. But at the end of the day, I'm never for like threatening, stripping away media credentials in the public. Like
in the public,
I think,
for sure,
yeah,
right?
in the public. Maybe you could have handled things like privately. I think that would probably been the best course of action. But yeah, it's a really complicated issue. Scott Abraham, also another point that people don't really realize. Scott Abraham is actually one of the most optimistic beat reporters. Like I don't know if people follow his Twitter account or anything. Yeah, like he likes to say a lot of positive things about this team, a lot more than one maybe like JP Finley or like anybody else that people could think of, not named John Kahn. So like it's kind of like a messed up situation all around. But I definitely think Jason Wright was in his right for sticking up for his players. But at the end of the day, I feel like there could have been a better way to handle things, especially as the president of a billion-dollar NFL franchise.
Gotcha. Martin, can you hear me, bro? I might have to come back to him. All right. So basically, while we are, recently the NFL Top 100 more off the field news. NFL Top 100 came about. We saw Jonathan Allen got number 88 overall. We saw Terry McLaurin right now, I believe is official that he was snubbed from the top 100 from the altogether. What do you guys think about that? How do you like? What does Terry McLaurin need to prove in order to be on the top 100 in your opinion? Now, we'll start off with you, bro. What do you got?
Yeah, definitely got snubbed. You can't place Kyle Juszczyk, OBJ, and Mac Jones above Terry McLaurin. I just think like you can't do that in 2021. I will say there was someone or some people were mentioning like Cordero Patterson, like how could he be ranked above Terry McLaurin? I mean, he had 1,200 total yards, 12 touchdowns last season, or 11 touchdowns last season. So I mean, I could kind of get that, but at the end of the day, Terry McLaurin was definitely snubbed. Should have been in the top 100. And really, to answer your question about what it will take for him to get on the list, Carson Wentz just being healthy throughout the year and feeding Terry the ball, I feel like would get him onto the list.
And winning, right? If we go to the playoffs, I think
that's the number one thing.
Winning. Yeah, I got you. Dion, do you think Terry McLaurin is the best player on the team?
Most definitely. He has proven it. Being with how many quarterbacks has he had? 9, 10, 11, 15, who knows? Like this guy has been producing no matter who's been at the helm, right? 1,000-yard receivers. He's there even through injuries. He makes all the big plays. The team shadow him. They know he's our best player. He's proven. I mean, for OBJ to be on there ahead of him. I mean, I know it's a lot of people believe in CeeDee Lamb is the best receiver in the division, but I don't see that. CeeDee Lamb is not a proven number one receiver. Even last year, Gallup, I believe, had more targets, I believe, than CeeDee Lamb. So he was definitely snubbed on that list. But again, it's about winning, and if we can win, because it's kind of crazy because don't you all notice a lot of the national guys when they talk about us or the NFC East, they always bring up McLaurin. Like it's being this.
Whenever I do podcasts, and I'm sure you guys do it too. Whenever you have conversation with other people out of network, they're always like Terry McLaurin's the best. They always talk about Jonathan Allen and our defensive line being so dominant. They always talk about that all the time. But I see Natty smiling. I'm the same with you, bro. I'm kind of the same way. That's the narrative that they catch. And then Jonathan Allen is kind of up there as well. So I think Jonathan Allen, he was on fire, dude. He was almost like borderline all-pro at one point in the year, in my opinion.
I think he's our best player.
I think Jonathan Allen is probably our best player too. So Montez Sweat has the potential to be, I think, as well. But we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I love Terry McLaurin. You're right. He's got a bad rap for a couple of years, so should be there as well. Martin, can you hear us, bro?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
All right, cool. I was going to say what we're talking about is so Terry McLaurin was snubbed from the top 100 on NFL Network. What does he have to do in order to get more recognition nationally? What do you think about that?
Stephen A. Smith, that's blasphemy.
Go ahead.
Terry,
let him know, man. Go ahead.
Man, Terry, 3 straight years, 1,000 yards, man.
Yeah.
I mean, he should. I'll say the top 20.
I don't know about top
somewhere down there. Somewhere down there. I don't say. I mean, top 30.
He should
be on the receiver. I think. Yeah.
He should have been
He should have been on the list for sure. I got you on that.
He should be on the list, man. You can't. A guy that had 3 straight years of 1,000 yards off the list.
He needs to get more touchdowns. I'm looking at it right now. So he had 919 and 7 touchdowns as a rookie, 1,118 and 4 in 2020, and then 1,053 and 5. So he needs to start tickling like more like 8 or 9 touchdowns, 1,200 yards. I think that'll get him on the list over there.
I mean, if you think about it, contested catches, right? I hate that stat. I hate people. So yeah, he's the most contested catch. I do not like that stat because that goes to tell you how often he was underthrown. I think the next person is maybe like 15 or 16 under him for the number 2 spot. Just imagine if some of those passes was where he was going to be and not where he already left. His yards, his touchdown, it dramatically improves.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, he has a quarterback right now, so we're gonna see what Wentz. I mean, I know Wentz. He built up a chemistry with Jahan. But I want Terry to have another 1,000 yards this year and probably more touchdowns than he. We need some Pro Bowls on from this team. You know,
That'd be nice.
we need
not a lineman, not Brendan Sheriff or something like that. We need to get some we need some skilled players to get some Pro Bowls for sure.
exactly.
All right, I got one more like fluff question. I'm gonna toss it to the room. You guys can roll with it, get as deep as you want. Then we'll get back into Casey, and it can be done for the pod, right? So, the fight song, okay, the fight song and the mascots. Do you guys care about any of that stuff at all? How do you feel about it? Anybody start off with that? What do you guys got?
I mean, I only knew like 2 lines from the old fight song. It's good when the band plays, but whatever. And I think as far as the mascot, some type of hog, some type of commander hog, something like that. I mean, It's just, I don't know if you all saw the hog ass mural.
Mm-hmm. It was cool.
At the stadium, which is real cool. I mean, they're honoring the hogs the same day as they're announcing the mascots is all white. It
makes a lot of sense, right?
Just do it. Don't let me get your vote in.
I agree. I think they're half stepping too much, right? Just tell me what you want to do. Yeah. I'm sick of voting all the damn time. Yeah. Anybody else, Nadia or Martin, have any preference at all? I don't really.
But everything that Washington named, the uniforms, try to hide everything. They all got below. They don't do anything. Just put it out there. Even to me, the fight song, I don't know, because I was watching the Washington, both versions on there. I don't know. I kind of like the second one a little bit better. I mean, you should have just kept the old fight song. Gail with something new. Now the vote for the mascot, I don't know on the list, but that just didn't make no sense.
Which one you broke up a little bit? Which was superhero?
Yeah. I think they had Sarah and the dog. Yeah. Well, I mean,
don't say that too loud. Hercules will freak out if you talk about the dog. he looks that whole German Shepherd, but that's all another story. But go ahead. That's fine.
So that I just think they should have kept the old fight song, but which one they pick is going to be our fight song, and we just have to roll.
All right, Nadia, any preference?
Yeah. My thing is, I think this was also mentioned on Twitter. Just play the music and have like the band, but don't like sing. Like have the words up and stuff, but like because you probably saw this too, George, like that clip on Twitter when they were like singing it really, really slow and it was just completely off from what it was before. I'm not a huge fan of that. It's just have like the background music, have the band playing, and then maybe have the lyrics up like before and or the newer edition lyrics and just roll with it. And in terms of mascot, like I'm with the Hogs as well. Like I know there's some people who think, just out with the old completely, in with the new. I'm like, personally, I like traditions, especially when we can keep these traditions. And like, that's one of the traditions that ties us to like fans of old. And I think it'd be a nice touch.
I think it goes a long way to our legacy fans, right? I feel like they kind of are the ones that are handling this transition the worst, probably. They're like, is it really difficult for me? So having that whole mascot and kind of keep them moving forward. So I can roll with that. And, you go ahead. What do you say?
I will say they got 3 Super Bowls. I mean,
that's true, man. Yeah, with that, 100%. Cool. All right, cool. Last question. We can bring it all home. We'll start off with Deanna again. So we have an upcoming preseason game on Saturday. We're playing the Chiefs. What do you think in regard to starters? How much do you want the starters to play, and what are you looking for in this preseason game?
All right, so we know today they went from 90 to 85, right? So we know there's only 3 preseason games, and in times past when it was 4, we know the third game was where the starters play the most. I think that's going to switch. They did a little last year. Mm-hmm. I think this game we'll see them into the second quarter. I'm not sure about coming out of the third, but I think they should. And the only reason why I say they come out the third with a couple series is just for adjustment purposes to see how well they able to halftime adjust. I think that's what it should be, and I think they'll play. I think most of the starters will play. Hopefully, St. Juice plays. I wasn't at camp, so I don't know if he suited up at all today.
Yeah, I didn't see it today. I'm not sure.
Hopefully he plays. I really want to see him out there to see what he can do. I'm looking forward to seeing all the starters play. We're looking forward to seeing Mahomes play, but kind of not with us. I don't know how you all feel, but I love Josh Gordon coming out of high school. Unfortunately, he went through a lot of off-field stuff. I think he's a French to not make the team. So non-commander stuff, I'm really to see if he plays what he's able to do. But
that'd be interesting. That's a good.
I think the starters should play into the third quarter.
Gotcha. Nadia, what do you think, bro?
Yeah, I think last year this game was treated as like game number 3, right? Preseason game number 3 traditionally. So if that's the case, I would like to see, like Dion said, I would like to see hopefully the starters playing into the second half a little bit. Like I think it's about time. I want to see the full offense go to work. I want to see the full defense go to work. But I would also love to see a lot of Sam Howell as well. More Sam Howell than Taylor Heineke. I think that's definitely what I want to see.
Taylor Heineke is who we know he is. We don't need to see
exactly.
I agree on that. Exactly. We already seen it. We know who he is. He's gonna be all right. So, but Sam Howell, let's see what's going on over there. All right, cool. Martin, what do you got, bro?
I agree with the guys. Definitely want to see a lot more from the offense. I want go. Especially, I want to see a lot of red zone offense looks like and everything like that. How they gonna execute? For the defense purposes, I definitely want to see what Jack did this time, and especially knowing that the first preseason game was kind of what kind of adjustments he's going to make. If St. Jude's does play, that would be good. A bit more Percy Butler. He might get a little bit more, burn. He game last game, so we'll see. But definitely, I do want to see from the whole team. What we facing. Because this is the second game, so we get to see more of them. And then kind of like dress rehearsal or whatever the case might be.
All right. Very last question, quick hitter. All right. What would determine a successful preseason game for you guys? So, Dion, after watching the game, now I feel this game was successful in your opinion. What would it take for you to be happy with the game number 2?
Jamin Davis get like 4 tackles in the backfield.
Okay. All right. That's fine. No doubt. Okay. We can. That's cool. All right. Nadia, what do you got?
Yeah, I was about to go on the same direction. I think with Jamin Davis, I don't even know how you measure this, but just playing great coverage, like pass coverage. I think that would be great to see out of him.
All right, cool. Martin, what do you got?
Dominance on both sides of the ball, point by period.
For me, I want to keep seeing Carson Wentz develop. I want to see our quarterback actually be consistent and accurate and actually score. So the one thing that was concerning for me for the first game was our first team offense struggled to score easily, and our defense gave up a lot of conversions. And that was the narrative in 2021. I don't want to be the same team from last year. I want to take a step forward. So I want to see those things change in the next game. So. Go ahead, Nadia.
Yeah, and lastly, sorry, George. Lastly,
you're good.
Jahan Dotson, please, where
was he at,
dude?
I'm kind of concerned. Like that's one thing to kind of peep on because I know you guys all have a critical eye. I love Jahan Dotson, but his one criticism in college was that he can't be pressed. We didn't even see him in the first game. I got to go back and watch the coach's film and see if he actually got open. It's like there's that one play where he almost did score that touchdown where he got held on that pass interference.
Yeah. I was going to allude to that. But
yeah, I want to see if he can beat it consistently.
But that was out the slot though, right?
I don't know. I gotta remember. I gotta double check. I was at the game, so it's kind of hard for me to see. But yeah, I got you. Cool. All right, fellas, we're gonna bring it on home. So before we do that, I want you guys to talk about your socials. What are some projects you guys are upcoming? Plug your stuff, and we'll wrap it up on that. So Nadia, we'll start off with you, bro. Where can they find you on social? What are you working on?
Yeah, thank you so much, George, for having me on. This was fun, fellas. DMV Sports Zone at DMV Sports Zone on Twitter. We also have an Instagram page, all lowercase DMV Sports Zone, and TikTok at DMV Sports Zone as well. But obviously, the main page is the YouTube page. We love to cover all DC area sports: Wizards, Nats, Caps, Commanders, even college teams and stuff. It's not really great right now for the DC sports scene, but
it's a very somber, sad page. Dude.
Yeah, right now, yeah. So
that's cool. It's good work, though. It's good work. Of course, no problem. Anytime. Martin, what about you? Where can they find you? Socials and on your network?
I mean, on Twitter, Instagram, um, I'm TikTok page a little bit, but mostly you can find me on. It's been a pleasure. I finally get to interact with Naughty for change.
Good people, right? I love Naughty.
Yeah,
Appreciate
so
that.
always
You too.
comment. I always comment in his when he but YouTube is my main goal. Commanders. I cover my Hurricanes and I cover my Chicago Bulls. So I try to be consistent. You know what I'm saying, as much as I can.
Sounds good, bro. All right, Dion, last one, bro. What about you?
Yeah, Red Zone and Lab podcast. We just started back up season 3. We have a few hitters lined up. So yeah, just wherever you get your podcast, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram is all under either Red Zone and the Lab, so you can find it there. On Spaces, we have a couple shows. Tuesday at 4:30. Red Zone DC with Mark Tyler and friends. We usually have guests on. Of course, George had guests one time. I'll be reaching out to you guys. The guests we started our Commanders pregame show last week, so we kind of do those the morning of whatever game we have. Saturday we'll be on Spaces at 9. Also have an NFL live show on Monday and Fridays where we go live at 4:30, talk about all things NFL. We usually have guests of other teams come on. We just kind of talk about their teams, what they're looking at. And we have a fantasy show on Spaces on Wednesday. So it's fantasy time. So we
Dion's
usually
a
have
Spaces
guests
king,
on
by the
fantasy.
way. Every time
Yeah.
I go on Twitter, I see his Spaces pop up and Dion's
Yeah.
sparking it up. It's a good time. It's actually a lot of fun. So
Yeah,
thank you
it's
guase
fun,
for
man.
coming. Thank you guys for coming.
Thank
I
you,
really
George.
appreciate it, man. Of
Thank
course,
you.
man.
Appreciate it,
Anytime, man.
Thank
so
you,
guys,
Joe.
no problem, bro. I'm George Carmi at GCarmi21. I also host the FPC Commanders handle on Twitter. I'm trying to grow my YouTube channel, so definitely like and subscribe that on Full Press Commanders. Guys, I want to start collaborating with Big Doug on a Thursday show. It's be coming up pretty soon. And then every Sunday we're doing Full Press fantasy, and it's going to be from 11:30 to 12:30 on Sundays during the regular season. So definitely check it out. I appreciate y'all. Thank you for listening. Take care. Peace out.